and welcome to Missed Mando, a disc golf podcast covering the disc golf world. Have no fear, your favorite host is back. I'm Robbie Holden. Joining me, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Galen Naidu-Harris and Sean Galbraith.
Going.
How are we doing, fellas? Sean, let's go to you first. How are you doing? How you been? What have you been up to
Doing
since our
absolutely
last episode?
fantastic, Robbie. Had a great time at the Chains for Change Guelph event for queer disc golf. Raised a couple $1,000 for a local LGBTQ charity. We played in the pouring rain. It was super fun doubles event over at Eastview. Really fantastic course. Going to be playing the Glitch World Championship qualifier there coming up in a few weeks. I'm very excited for that. And then I was up at Dreamaker with a couple miscreants on this show. I'm sure we'll be talking about that soon enough. Galen, how about you?
I'm not sure if you guys heard, but I may have won the most prestigious division at Dreamaker. I know that MPO and FPO, they get all the hype. People talk about how they want to see the pros, you know, your Chris O'Zollinses, your Colleen McInnes's, your Sophia Donica's. But for me, I keep hearing over and over again, MA3 is the division.
Everybody says this.
You want to see how the players in there are playing. Everybody
Absolutely.
there says this. I've been hearing it for years. And so I thought, you know what? I've never actually played an MA3 tournament. I want to see what all this hype is about here. May as well get a little taste. And we took it down, boys. We were down at Dreamaker as a podcast, even though we didn't get any content like we said we were going to. But I won my first sanctioned event in like 2 years. So I was really excited. I mean, I've been playing sanctioned events and playing them rather poorly at times. It's my first win in like 2 years. And it was in somewhat dramatic fashion, so I'm feeling good rolling off of that. First round was solid for us. I finished tied in first with a 9 down on the shortest layout at Dreamaker, the Reds, which I felt pretty okay about, but not great. But the rating was pretty good, so I was happy with it. And day 2 got rolling, was not looking at things too closely. 13 holes in, there's a 5-card backup in the rain. In the pouring rain, I decided, you know what, I may as well take a look at the scores. And I saw that I had the solo lead by 2. And then, of course, I had about 30 minutes to stew on that and think about all the ways that I could fuck it up. And then proceeded to do that immediately on hole 14 when it was my turn, finally, about 30 minutes later, and shanked my shot into a tree. And the guy I was beating by 2 put it perfectly in the fairway. Just could not have been a better shot. I recovered okay, pulled it back. Took my 5 on a par 4. He took his 3, and we were tied.
That's exciting.
Both birdied. Yeah, exciting and a little nerve-wracking, even though it's only MA3. I was still like, geez, this is a little nervy. Both birdied 14, or sorry, both birdied 15. Both birdied 16. Both birdied 17. Tied up going into hole 18 of 19. And he still got the box and manages to throw his a little high and wide, clips a tree, only makes it about a third of the way up the 250-foot fairway. Okay, here's my opportunity. The last time I was like, here's my opportunity, I threw it into a tree and lost 2 strokes. Let's not do that this time. And put it just outside of the circle to about 45 feet. And I was just thinking after that, I was like, man, I missed an opportunity here. Like, he's going to par it. I'm going to par it, and we're going to go into 19 tied. So he throws his upshot, puts it under the basket as I expected. And I was like, you know what? What if I just lace this putt from 45 feet? What if I just put it in? I hadn't considered that as an option. What if? We're going to give it a bid. We're not going to soft it. We're not going to short it. We're not going to be nerds about it. And threw a nice little lofty, like half step, half jump putt and cashed it from 45 for a birdie to be up 1. Down 8 on the round heading into hole 19. And it was another long backup, another fucking 25 minutes for me to wait and stew in my thoughts and think about the fact that I'm in first place. Now I better not mess this up. So I tried not to. And then finally, when we get mercifully to the front, stepped up, threw probably one of the better forehands of my life. Forehand, Simon Lazadl, hex, flip up, push the whole length of the fairway and parked it at about 285. And my opponent then proceeded to shank it into a tree left. Don't know if it was some nerves or just slippery. It had been raining all day, whatever it was, but I was able to eventually cash that birdie. He took a bogey and took it down by 3. And it is nice to win the odd tournament. It's not going to happen very often. So now that it is, I'm going to linger on it for these 3 or 4 minutes I've been talking. I've been good, boys. It feels good to have a good result in an event because I've not always had that. And we were talking last time we were on the pod about how I had a conversation with Justin Murphy at the last event that I played, the Black Fly Fling, where he said, "What were your goals at this event and how did you perform relative to them?" Something to the effect of that question. And I said, my goals for the event were just sort of to have fun and see my friends. And I did that. So I feel really good. But my goals heading into this weekend were to be competitive and ideally to win. And we did well relative to that. So I feel happy. I'm happy to be with my co-hosts. I've been talking for too long, so I'm going to kick back to Robbie. But good to see you boys, and a great weekend at Dreamaker, and great to see you both in the process.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah, dude.
A blast weekend. Love the Dreamaker tournament. Love the Dreamaker campground. The course is super fun. I like that all 3 of us played different layouts. You played the kitty layout, Galen.
I played the baby
you played the
layout,
baby
yeah.
layout. You
which is why I shredded.
Yeah,
of course.
you had at -9 on your final round. You had the best score of the weekend on the red of any division playing it. You beat how old is Nico Forbes? I believe he's what, 9 or 10 years old.
10.
You beat a 10-year-old by 1 stroke, and that is absolutely fantastic. Well done, Galen.
He also
That's
played
what
with
we're
an
here to do.
11-year-old in
true.
round 1.
Yeah, and my co-host
who-
caddied for him
Well
and not
done.
me.
Absolutely,
traitor.
that's the way to do it.
Yeah. On Team Austin.
You also
Hey, anytime you can beat children at games that are played for fun, you got to do it.
You also beat the incredible Brooklyn Okrafka.
Oh, that was a crazy round she
Puts
put up.
up
Oh my goodness.
puts up a -7 in her first round. She's 12 years
crazy.
old, and she took down the FA2 division.
Amazing.
Amazing.
You know what? Just to pause
Sure.
there for a second. That must be nice for the 12-year-olds. But I took down a 953 rating in both the first and
did.
second round. So I know that Brooklyn tried hard. Nico did his best. But if they want to come and learn from me, I'm teaching lessons anytime. Happy to. Over here.
Listen,
Yeah, you went neg 9. I'd say that's
you had an
pretty
impressive
consistent.
win over a
Yeah.
781 rated player. You should be very, very proud of that.
Baby.
But seriously, a 953 tournament average is absolutely fantastic for you. I played the white layout, the toddler layout, and it was super fun. I came in 10th place. I played exactly at my rating, which is not where I wanted to be, but I don't care. I had a great time doing it. I had a couple really nice birdies. I birdied hole 14, which was really a tough one for lefties like me because it's that par 4 in the woods.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good birdie.
It's a good birdie. I took a really unconventional route at it. I threw a backhand hyzer flip turnover with a Rolo and absolutely laced the corridor. I tried it in the practice round and it totally worked. I don't know how it worked, but it's something that disc can do just things that nothing else can. It's super fun to throw. Yeah, I agree. I had a blast.
You had a pretty hot first round though, Sean. Did you not have like an 890 to 900 or so rated opening round?
Yeah, I was really happy with my first round. My second round, what was my first round? My first round was an 858, which is nicely above my rating. My second round was an 815, which was basically hot garbage. And I averaged exactly at my rating.
The ratings then, because you
They did
you were
drop.
sitting higher than that when I checked it. I wanted to see how my podcast co-hosting pals were doing, and they stole some numbers from you there because you were sitting at in a low 890, and I think
I
that's
think
very
they
rude
did get
for
adjusted
your first
down. I don't
round.
think they got adjusted down that much, but they did get adjusted down, which is I was a little surprised given the absolute horrific weather that was going on certainly on Sunday. We actually had you and I had the opposite weather to Mr. Robbie Holden, who is playing a much later tee time and playing the grown-up layout, the blues, and
Yeah.
Let's not go too
he
far.
had the
I have
big
my
boy
big boy
pants on.
pants
That's
on.
like a teenager layout.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. It's a
Yeah,
surly teenager.
no. That's a big boy adult layout. That course is
And day
ridiculous.
one, the children, like us, we had decent weather, and then it just started to rain a little bit towards the end of the round, which then completely slammed Robbie during his round. And we round two, we had beautiful weather horrifying weather to start, an absolute torrential downpour, which then completely cleared up by the time Robbie went to go out for his final round. It was weather-wise, it was a wild weekend. How did you enjoy
It cleared
things
up.
out there, Robbie, on the blue layout?
It cleared up about a half hour before my tea time, half hour to an hour, so it couldn't have timed itself better for me to get out there for round two. Before I go on to how I played, I did want to shout out Chris Patterson, who Galen was battling with. He, like myself, is someone who has listed from Cambridge but plays a lot in Guelph, member of the Guelph Club. And he shot a 934 event average, 153 points above his player rating. That is absolutely absurd. So huge shout out to Chris. And I got to give another big shout out, which will lead me into how I played, to my buddy Austin Hill, who we mentioned I caddied for. I betrayed Galen, caddied for Austin in round one. It was awesome to be out there. He's such an awesome kid, and I mean he had a few mistakes in the round, but I think he had like 9 birdies. So if he had just gotten rid of the bogeys, could have been tied with Galen at the top there. Super talented kid at 11, and then he came out and caddied for me in my first round, which was super awesome. And he was he kept wanting to grab all the discs out of my bag for me, dry them off when I handed them back. It was really cool to have him out there. He seemed to be having a blast. And then as for my play, this blue layout, you got something?
Just
Galen?
super quick, wanted to shout out Chris and Austin. Got to play full rounds of both of them. Just fantastic human beings. Didn't get to chose not to for whatever reason, not work that into what I was saying before. But I had 2 fantastic cards, and Chris and Austin were parts of them. So awesome dudes to play with.
Yeah, they are both great peeps. And yeah, the blue layout that I played on was, I mean, the course is just a beast. But in round one, at least I played pretty well. I mean, realistically, going into this tournament, I just wanted to play better than I did last year here, and keep improving year over year. This is the 3rd year that I've been to Dreamaker. Played an MA2 the first year, MA1 last year. I believe I finished at like plus 14 or something like that last year, so definitely improved. I shot +1 in the first round, which was 962 rated. Just goes to show you the toughness of the course. I mean, a +1 was rated
Absolutely.
962, which had me in 5th place. I missed out on lead card by a stroke, but kept my streak of chase cards going after Top Link, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then little rougher in the 3rd round, just couldn't pick up as many birdies. Shot a +3 to finish +4 for the tournament, tied for 7th, I believe. Let me just sort it to round 2. Yeah, tied for 7th. but myself and Dylan Upper, another Guelph guy, we were tied for 7th at +4. Next behind us was +9, 5 strokes. So the top end of the field kind of separated by a gap. But congrats to my buddy Mike Ashtenko. I was camping with him for the weekend, and he took down the win. He is just an absolute beauty of a human being, just someone that you have no problems losing to. Really, he's just always got a big smile on his face, and would be the first person to come up to me and congratulate me in a win. So was awesome to see him do well as my buddy Ryan McWaters, who I was also camping with. So our campsite represented pretty well, and it's just such a fun weekend. Dreamaker is getting to, I mean, a full campsite just like sold out of disc golfers hanging out around a campfire. We got a good group coming out Saturday night and hanging out. So just
Galen,
a
did you get an
blast.
invitation to this campfire hangout?
No, I thought that was really interesting that Robbie was hanging out with people at a
Yeah,
campfire. You know, I saw some photos, looked like he was having fun. I saw you, Sean. You
Yeah.
came
absolutely.
and dropped off a dry
Some
fit,
sweet
a hat. We saw
Miss
lots of
Mando
each other,
merch.
but I barely saw this Robbie guy at all the whole weekend.
It's really
I don't know. I thought it was kind of
You
rude.
saw me during round one. What are you
Did
talking
you get an
about?
invitation, Sean? I don't know.
no. It must have got lost in the in
Oh,
the
you
mail.
know what? It was probably the
It was
it
an open
was probably the
invitation to
cell
all
service,
Cell
right?
around
service
the
was really
campground.
Yeah, it
horrifying.
must have been the
Yeah,
cell
but
I
service.
you
mean,
were
for
Galen. You
those
were
that
at the
don't know,
potluck
cell
though,
service
so I
are
think
very
the
horrific.
communication about that at least got it. I didn't see
Oh
Robbie at
yeah,
the
no, we
potluck.
didn't have any issues.
That was
Yeah, we
pretty
didn't have any
informal.
issues sharing information about the potluck at all. Our cell service was fine. We got the invitation out. Everybody that we wanted to be there
Yep,
was there.
absolutely.
Yeah, so it
Yep.
was good.
Yep.
No missing
Yep.
co-hosts or Mandos.
Let's move on to Ontario tournament recap
Do,
number 1. Well, I guess number 2 because we just recapped the Dreamaker Open. Let's throw it over to Robbie to talk about the Top
Well,
Link Open.
before
What? Before?
before we
What?
jump into that, I missed a show, and you guys you wanted to skirt around a certain Foxwood Open champion and didn't want to say his name or anything, but the champ is
I
here,
honestly
baby.
just didn't
And I
remember
took down
who
a huge
who
tournament.
was it that won
I
Foxwood?
don't remember.
Oh, your trusty co-host right here,
Oh, Sean,
Thank
congratulations,
you.
buddy. I
baby.
didn't know that
I
was you.
I
Oh my
was
goodness.
Right?
trying
How
I
did we
was
forget that it was you, Sean,
I
that won the
was I was
tournament?
very
Yeah.
modest, let me tell you. Yeah.
Ah,
No,
all right.
congratulations.
No,
Yeah, you deserve your flowers, buddy. Oh, I
Congratulations
just punched the microphone. I'm
to
so excited. Tell us all
Robbie
about it. I want to
Holden
hear
for
everything.
taking down Foxwood.
well, I thank you, thank you. I more so wanted to bring it up to kind of shout out who you guys were already shouting out in the recap last episode, Joey, who just pushed me to the limit. I think we both finished at -5, and I think third place was +1 or +2. So he pushed me to a higher level, and I think we both kind of did, and it was an epic battle. And Joey is someone that I love playing against, so it was super awesome to see him. But also, I just wanted to quickly, and since I've last been on, I also have done a few more commentary videos for Canadian Disc Golf Productions. Go check those out on YouTube. We did a Nico's Drive Juniors event, as well as a Juniors roulette round, which were just so much fun to do. Chris Brown and I have been rocking that while Galen's been on the sidelines a bit. I'm hoping we get like all three of us, or at least you and me in there at some point, Galen. I don't know. That'd be awesome. I don't know
That'd be a
what we'll
dream.
do on that front,
We'll
but
figure it out.
yeah, it has been awesome to do those commentaries. So go check those out on YouTube. And yeah, now let's move into the Top Link Open over in Barrie at Sandy Hollow. This is a new tournament on the disc golf schedule. It's a 2-round B tier, and it was. I mean, Sandy Hollow. I don't know about you guys. One of my personal favorite courses. It's like distance wise is one of the shorter courses that you'll play. I mean, especially for me in MA1, I think it might be like one of the shortest layouts I've played all year, but the tight wooded lines just make it so much fun, yet still chews you up sometimes. So I don't know. I love Sandy Hollow. I love going out there. I love that they added another event to the schedule at Sandy Hollow. But over in FPO, it was a tight battle after round one with the top four all within 2 strokes of each other. But in the second round, Colleen McInnes laid down a scorching hot round of -6 to take down the win by 4 over Alicia Hums, with Sandy Hendel coming in third. This is Colleen's second win of the season, to go with her win at White Spruce earlier this year. And over in MPO, it was Marty Hendel and Chris Toe tied for first, with Calvin Rorda and Ezra Lockington only 1 stroke back after the first round. But with 5 holes left, it was Chris and Calvin tied for first with a 3-stroke lead over Marty in third. But over those last 5 holes, Calvin shot even and Chris shot +1, while Marty clutched up and birdied 4 in a row to take the lead, and with a par on the final hole, was able to take down the win. This is Marty's second win of the year, after winning the Christie Lake Spring Fling last month. Fellow Christie Lake champion like myself, no big deal. And this is the 5th win in his last 6 tournaments, going back to last season as well. This is also the 60th win of his career in Ontario, which is the most of all time by any player, 10 more than second place Elaine King. But I did have a little fun in researching this stat. Marty has I don't have the number in front of me, but it was like 120 starts in Ontario to go along with those 60 wins. Elaine King, with her 50 wins, only had like 65 starts. There's only 15 times that she lost. Just super dominant before she, of course, now lives in the States full time. But anyways, guys, let's throw it over to you. Shawnee G, let's throw it to you first for some of your thoughts on the Top League Open.
It was really great to see Colleen jump back into the winner's circle after a rough go at Foxwood. At round 2 at Top Link, she was down by 1 after 3, and then takes a bogey on hole 4 to drop another stroke to Alicia Hums. And then, Colleen did what Colleen does. She turned on the afterburners and absolutely went on a tear, carding 7 birdies from holes 5 through 19 until it didn't matter. And she could just screw it. I'm going to bogey 20 for, just because I get strokes to burn. Absolutely love to see her at the top of her game.
Yeah, I could not agree more. We've had the opportunity to witness some fantastic performances from Canadian female disc golfers this year. Friends of the pod, Sophia, Chantel, and it's great to see a fellow Bronte Creek local remind us that she is not to be forgotten. She is one of the premier disc golfers in this country, and back from that injury and better than ever. Honestly, a bit of a scary thought for the FPO field. This is her bouncing back from an injury. So I can't wait to see what the rest of the season has in store for her. Also nice to see Marty take another one down. I don't know. We might have to have him on soon, guys. This podcast could use a little bit more Martin Hendel at some point. I don't know. We should look into that.
I couldn't agree more. One thing I also wanted to add into that, just to go along with my stat about Marty earlier, Colleen is 4th place on that list of all-time wins in Ontario, which is crazy. So just Ontario legends taking down another tournament in Ontario. And we'll move on to the next tournament in Ontario. This one we can just take a little quick stop at. This was over in St. Joseph's Island out near Sault Ste. Marie. This is the Gapp's Gambit tournament, which was the 6th stop on the OCC qualifying series. Friend of the show, Chris Ozelins, he took down his 3rd win of the season, this time taking it down by 7 strokes over Craig Matheson, with friend of the show, Spencer Young, rounding out the podium in 3rd. No FPO division at this tournament, but a lot of amateur divisions giving out qualifying spots to provincials. So congrats to all of those competitors that were able to land a qualifying spot at provincials. And another tournament I just wanted to quickly shout out. This was the Syracuse Open down in New York, which was very well attended by some of Ontario's finest. That definitely deserves some shout outs. Starting in MPO, Ezra Lockington was solo second place after round 2, having 2 incredible first 2 rounds. I think his second round was like a 10-30 rated. Just scorcher out there. Got onto the final round lead card, which was filmed by, I believe, Gatekeeper Media. So keep an eye out for that coming out. Unfortunately, not his best round in that third round. He ended up finishing in a tie for 14th. But he still had a 998 event average, which was 31 points above his player rating. So huge event for Ezra there, young gun, up and comer. And few more shout outs. Thomas Hums in 10th place, Calvin Rorda in 14th, Joe Vanderveen in 18th, Chris Brown in 20th, Jake Voskamp and Kalen Schatt tying for 27th, all finished inside the cash line, coming back to Ontario with a little bit of dough in their pockets. And over on the FPO side, Colleen McInnes takes down another win, winning by 4 strokes. And we also had Alex Paletto and friend of the show, Rebecca Dawn, tying for 5th inside the cash line as well. Also coming back to Ontario with a little bit of cash in their pocket. And congrats to Colleen for going down and taking down another win. Doesn't add to her total of wins in Ontario, but does add to that total wins list that she just keeps stacking up. Galen, let's go to you first on this one. You got any thoughts on the Syracuse Open?
Yeah, man. I mean, I said look out for Colleen, and 2 wins in rapid succession. I'm not surprised, but I'm always impressed with her play. You love to see it. Also, want to backtrack a little bit to shout out Tobin Isaac for taking down MA50 at Gapp's Gambit. Friend of the pod who has not yet been on the pod, but certainly a friend to all of us. And he and I were chatting today. It was pretty dramatic fashion. So loved hearing a little bit from him on Tuesday as we're recording at our tags match about his weekend. But yeah, I mean, fantastic to see Colleen taking down that win in Syracuse. Great performances from friends of the pod and Ontarian disc golfers. I mean, Thomas, Calvin, Joe, Alex, Rebecca. Look out. Ontario disc golf is here to stay. And we love to see south of the border, our Canadian friends representing.
Heck yeah. What about you, Shawnee G? What are your thoughts on the Syracuse Open?
I love how many Canadians are down there representing and placing so well, taking home cash, taking home American cash. That's worth a lot. So, really, really big shout out. They did us proud. And, yeah, some of them were traveled from a long way, like Thomas and Alicia, the power couple in Ontario Pro Disc Golf, or one of the power couples. They did absolutely fantastic. And if they can't come to Dreamaker, well, so be it. They might as well be taking home the bucks down south.
Yeah, Sudbury to Syracuse,
It's a hike.
I do not feel like is a very short drive.
Not known to be.
No, I can't imagine so. But we will move on now. We'll take a little bit of a breather between some tournament recaps before we get into the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And we don't have an interview this week, so we're going to do a little bit of a game. I just came up with this totally randomly. I'm going to trivia Sean and Galen a little bit here.
I'm going to get destroyed.
We are going to go a little bit of a trivia game relating to the 2024 season stats.
Okay, let's go.
On the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So I'm going to give you guys a category, and you are going to try and throw out a name as to who you think is in first place in that stat. Closest to will win that point, and we will do, I think I've got, let's see, we'll do one, definitely do those 5 stats for MPO and FPO, so 10 total that we will go through here. And we will start on the MPO side with fairway hit percentage. Who do you guys think is number one this season in fairway hit percentage?
I just want to preface this game by saying, as you guys know, I have not been able to be as dialed into disc golf the last little while as I would have liked to be. So you are going to
There's been
have,
a handicap on this one.
hopefully, a couple of decent answers, and I'm sure a couple of absolutely terrible ones. I'm going to be answering more based off of feel, not based on what I've been seeing this year, because I haven't been watching anywhere near as much disc golf as I would like. But I'm be going, you know what? That guy hits fairways a decent amount of the time as I've been watching him over the course of his career. That's the guess that I'm going to give. So we will see how this goes for me. I am guessing very poorly, especially relative to Sean, whose big brain barely fits in that big hat. Am I going to guess first here? Is Sean going to guess first? We're going to go back and forth. How are we going to do this?
Yeah, I guess we'll go back and forth. So
I'm giving him
I'll
first pick every time.
Nice.
Let's go. Let's go.
There we go.
You're still going to smoke.
We'll see.
I like
we'll
it.
see.
I'm also going to add a little bit of a caveat to this, and I'm going to say that actually, you know what? Never mind. I was going to eliminate some names that you couldn't guess just from dominant seasons, people having great seasons and not being able to just cherry pick names, but I think you guys will be good with that sort of thing. So I think we are good to go. So we'll start on the MPO side and we will go fairway hit percentage.
I am going to go with Gannon Burr.
Right as I said,
Absolute
cherry picking the big names.
I'll go Calvin Heimberg.
Well, this one will go to Galen, but not as close as you would actually think. Gannon Burr is 9th.
Wow.
In fairway parked percentage. Calvin Heimberg is 16th in fairway parked percentage. Just for a little bit of context, so Gannon 79.18% and Calvin 78.28%. So they are pretty close together. The leader is Nicholas Ontala, 80.2% fairways hit.
Okay.
So that'll be 1 point for Galen, and we will move on to the next stat, and that is going to be circle one in regulation.
And Sean said he's giving it to me every time, eh? C1 reg. I feel like, see, here's the thing.
Who's giving themselves the most C1 putts for birdie?
Well, I feel like my actual guess is the same as my guess at the last stat, but I feel like that would be redundant and boring. So rather than guessing Gannon Burr, I am going to guess a little probably off the board, but a hot start to the season. No, he's been too up and down. God.
TikTok.
Yeah. No, we're going to lock it in. I'm going to go with a super off the board pick. This could be absolutely terrible and nowhere near the top, but I'm going to go Anthony Barella.
Garbage pick.
But he had some hot starts earlier in the season.
All I got to do is
Oh, wait, hang on. Are we talking percentage or like volume?
Percentage.
That would have to be percentage,
it's
right?
Percentage.
Yeah, no, I take it back. I'm going back to back Gannon Burr. Gannon.
You locked that in. I believe we're going to rewind the tape.
I didn't lock in a single
thing.
Did
you not?
Never locked a thing in my life.
Ricky Wysocki. Yeah, of course.
Point Galen. Close again. C1 and reg. Once again, not getting the top guys. Gannon is in 5th. And Ricky is in 9th. Gannon 44.35%. Ricky 42%. The leader is Calvin Heimberg, 45.9%. Almost 46%. We will actually just do 4 in each. But moving on to the next one. Actually, yeah, we'll still do 5. C1 putting percentage. Who's leading C1 putting percentage on the season in MPO?
I assume this is C1X. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Circle 1 X putting percentage. Yeah.
C1 putting. I am going to go with Mr. Nicholas Antala.
I'll go Paul Ulibarri.
Nailed it, Shawnee G. Paul Ulibarri is number 1.
Love that.
Number 1 on the season. That actually is, maybe not to you, Galen, but is one of the, I would say, the easier ones, just because that was a stat that I think was kind of trending.
And we previously
on Reddit
mentioned
and
it
stuff
on the
recently.
show.
But yeah, Paul.
Maybe
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
Well, actually true.
well, that'll do it.
It could have been
That
on
is
an
true.
episode when Galen wasn't here. So in fairness to him, yeah,
That's true.
I can in fact guarantee that
but
it was.
sure.
yes,
I'll go that far.
yeah, pretty much.
I've
Paul
not heard
Ulibarri,
that.
number 1 in C1X putting, 93.03%.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
on the season. Yeah, incredible. Galen, you did make a good pick as well. Nicholas Antala, 7th, 87.56%.
Okay.
That is very elite. But 93% out of Yules,
Unbelievable.
that is bonkers.
That's wild.
So next one, C2 percentage. Who's the best C2 putter? There's some better names out here. I like this list now that I've sorted it.
There are some big names that
There's
like
some good-
could be
there's-
competitive for this. I feel like.
Yeah, just like names that aren't up at the top in some other categories. Some new names that I'm seeing here as I sorted it, and I like it.
Interesting little preview there. I wish we had a little like Jeopardy music we could play in the background.
See if I can edit
right?
some in after.
There we go. That'll be great.
Do it
C2 putting. I am going to
C2
have
putting.
to go with. See, I just want to keep recycling the same names. He's so good at everything. But I'm not going to say Gannon Burr. I'm going to say Kyle Klein for C2 putting.
Solid pick. I'll go Andrew Marweed.
How far do you have to scroll to find our picks?
Oh boy.
I gotta scroll.
Oh God.
Who did
You
you
said
say
Kyle
again, Galen?
I said Kyle Klein.
Did I pass him already?
I hope so.
Not, then Shawnee G has the point. And backtracking. Nope. Shawnee G, you get the point. Yeah.
2-2.
I'm kind of surprised here. Andrew Marweed, Sean gets the point, closest to first place by getting 38.
Who's number 1?
27.81%. And I just want to. Okay, here he is. Kyle Klein, 46.
Haven't heard much from Kyle this year. He's been
he
had
a couple of performances that got my attention, but like it's been a lot of up and down. And yeah, creeping around is a good way to.
So who's number 1?
Yeah. Number 1, and I'll shout out a couple names here in the top 10 because I do like this list. Number 1,
yeah,
James
that makes sense.
Proctor.
He's an incredible putter.
Okay.
30.
He is.
He is.
Definitely would have been
amazing.
my second pick.
38.19%. Did he win the putting challenge at All Stars, or did he just make it to the final against Marweed?
I was literally sitting right there. I don't remember who won.
You were literally on camera. I don't remember who won that, but anyways, incredible putters. Number 2, Ricky Wysocki. Number 3, Luke.
He's been having a great year.
4.
Wow.
Yep. Number 4, Casey White. Number 5, Matt Bell. Love to see that.
A lot of thought space representation
absolutely.
at the top.
Right? Yeah, that is a lot. Number 6, Gannon Burr.
Sure.
Gannon's insane. Number 7, Chandler Fry.
Love it.
Heck yeah. Chanimal. 8, Silver Lot. Sean's favorite caddy. Number 9, Evan Scott.
Okay.
Young gun. And number 10,
Cool.
Adam Hammis.
Okay.
All right.
The ham sandwich.
So tiebreaker in the MPO. Let's go.
Interesting list there. Yeah, it is now 2-2 in the MPO. And the final stat's going to be a little different. You're actually going to guess who is worst in OB rate.
So who goes OB more? And you're going to give us a couple of
Who
names,
goes
or
OB the most
of anybody in MPO?
of
I wish I
anybody
didn't know
in
the answer to
MPO? And
this.
you know what, Galen? You know what? I will I will give some options. So I will limit it here, and you're gonna pick who of this 5 group of players
Okay.
has the worst OB rate. I'm gonna give you Tristan Tanner, Brody Smith, Thomas Gilbert, Jacob Cupcake Cordis, and I will go with one of my favorite names in disc golf to say, Jake Hebenheimer.
That's a fantastic name to pronounce. Okay, one more time from the top because we were bouncing around a lot there. We got Cupcake.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah, so you got
Jacob, whose
Cupcake.
last name ends in Heimer, who I can't pronounce. We got
That's,
we got Brody Smith
Jake. Yeah.
and
Thomas Gilbert.
Thomas Gilbert, and there was
Yeah.
one more, I believe, right?
Tristan Tanner.
Tristan Tanner. I am going to lock in. Yes, that's right, Sean. I will lock it in. It's probably going to be wrong, but I'm going to lock in as much as if I'm right, it will pain me to be right. Thomas Gilbert.
That was going to be my pick.
Shawnee G.
Since I can't pick who I think is the winner, I'll go Tristan Tanner.
What?
Shawnee G gets the point.
Whoa.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yep. Actual leader is Cupcake. Yeah, 0.228. So I guess, what is that, 22%?
Yep.
Is that how that's listing out?
I think so. Or 2 point.
It's the only stat that's not
because
listed in percentage.
there's so many holes that do not have any OB on them. So it is probably like 0.2 or whatever it is percent of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Anyways, he leads. Tristan Tanner is second worst, and then there's a couple names in between that I left out. But of the names that I included, next would be Brody Smith, and then Thomas Gilbert, and then Jake Hebenheimer. But all of these players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 are all within the bottom 11 of OB rate.
Wow.
So
okay, so
not exactly.
So Sean up 3-2 heading into
Let's
FPO.
go.
Shawnee G takes the 3-2 lead, and we will go reverse order in FPO. We will start with OB rate, and I will give you some names here, and I'm going to go a little bit higher up the list, so not quite right at the bottom. Give some bigger names that that you guys may recognize. I'm just going to scroll here and land on a random section and then pick from it. All right, here we go. I am going to give you, we've got Cat Merch, Paige Pierce, Natalie Ryan, Raven Klein, Maria Oliva.
I think.
Which of those players is worse on the season in OB rate? Once again, Cat Merch, Paige Pierce, Natalie Ryan, Raven Klein, Maria Oliva.
I am going to go with Maria Oliva as my pick.
I think that's a solid pick. Probably.
Was that going to be yours, Sean?
But I'll go Raven Klein.
Sean will go Raven. Giving Galen the first pick bites you a little bit because Galen nails it. Maria Oliva has the lowest of that group. Raven Klein actually had the
least
highest
OB
of that group that I included.
Cool.
Yeah, of that group, I'm just kind of like
That's
in the middle section of OB rate on the list. So of the 5 that I gave you from worst to best, it would go Maria, Kat, Paige, Natalie,
Great.
and then Raven.
Not to
But moving on,
not to put anybody on the spot. What is the lowest name that you think we would recognize on that list? And you mentioned that the ones that were right at the bottom might not be names that we well known. Not actually.
yeah,
You know what?
right
No,
at the very
scrap
bottom.
that. I don't want to put somebody on blast. I'm curious. I'll look
I'd-
it up later. But I don't want to. Yeah, this person's OB the
I'd
most.
probably recognize most
on
of the
on-
names anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
scrap that.
there's the
Let's go on to
first
the
two
next
I
one.
don't
So,
really recognize, but one that is on there, and I will say just because it shows like her potential if she can just keep it inbounds is
Oh
Ellie
yeah.
Ezra Midling, and
okay, that
if
makes
she
sense.
can just keep that disc inbounds, she has so much
Yeah, because
potential.
she can throw so friggin' far.
She can
It
mash.
feels like she has every tool. Kind of reminds me of
I
Thomas
was going to say
Gilbert
the same
in
thing.
that
Yep.
regard. And just looking
Yeah.
forward to and hoping that when they do put it all together, we can watch them shred together.
With great power needs great
absolutely.
control, and hopefully they can both dial that in.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Couldn't agree more. For these next two stats, I am giving a handicap because I'm not letting either of you pick Owen Scoggins in putting stats because
Of
guess
course.
what? She's number one in both.
That's the free parking space in this
and that's just
in this game.
Yeah. That one is way too easy. So you guys are going to be looking for second place in the putting stats. We will start with Circle 2 percentage. Who is second place on the season in C2 putting percentage? Galen.
Are there any limitations based on like number of events people have played or anything? Because the person I'm thinking of picking has missed a number of events, but
So for all of these stats, it is only players who have participated in 40% or more of available holes in the included season stats. So that's on the Pro Tour.
okay.
So they have to have played at least 40% of the Pro Tour season.
So this is going to be probably close to the line. I think higher than 40%. But I'm gonna take that as a handicap. So if I guess a name that's not on the list anywhere based on the number of times they've played, that's on me, and Sean will take it by default. But I'm going to take Kristen Tatar. I believe she has played at least 40% of the holes. She may not have.
She's on the list.
That is my choice.
I'm going.
She is on the list for stats.
I'm going Paige Pierce.
Paige Pierce, Shawnee G takes down another one. Who won the OB one?
That was Mr. Galen.
So Sean's at 4-3 now. He's got me.
Yeah.
Got me by
Paige
one.
Pierce has been having a
4-3,
fantastic putting year. Absolutely. It's why she was my pick at the Preserve. We will get to that, I assure you.
Ooh, little teaser, little nugget in
Looking
there.
forward to it.
Yeah, Paige Pierce. She is currently third in Circle 2 putting percentage. Kristen Tatar is seventh in Circle 2 putting percentage. So pretty good on both of you there. Number 2, the one that you guys were looking for, Anniken Sten.
Fantastic.
Wow. 24.18%. Owen Scoggins leads at 28.57%.
The Skywalker in second. Okay.
Yep. Moving on, we of course know Owen Scoggins, number one, 82.3% Circle 1 percentage. That's bonkers. Who do you think is number 2? And this is another one where I'm seeing some new names, and I like it.
Which stat?
Circle 1X putting percentage. I would actually be very impressed if you guys can guess number 2.
I have a guess that might be one of the more insane things that I say tonight, and that is saying something. If I ever conjured this name in years previous, I would have been laughed at. I might still be laughed at. I'm going to say Evelina Salonen.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I love the pick. I'm very jealous that you got to make it. Your brain cannot contemplate that is the correct answer, but I absolutely love that answer. Circle 1, C1X. I'll go Holland Handley.
Unless there is some crazy thing that I don't know. Sean definitely got this point. Evelina Salonen is 45th on the season in Circle 1 X percentage. 40, where was it? 63.09%, which I'll be fair, that's got to be
is a massive improvement.
Listen, I would have given you 3-1 on that.
And that's where it coached for me, is I was like, I haven't seen much, but I've seen her crushing, and I've seen her making a heck of a lot more putts than she used to. So she's putting it in the circle. Maybe she's making
Apparently
the
not.
putts. Where's Holland? I'm sure she's a lot higher than 45th.
Yeah, Holland is
solid.
in 10th.
Yeah,
so
there we go.
Sean
Who's
takes
second
that
place?
one down and just needs one more point to solidify the win here in our little game, as he gets to 5 points. Galen, all you can do is tie it up now. And
It's okay.
I'll have to come up with a
I can force a
tiebreaker
playoff.
on the spot.
I can force a playoff. It's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was definitely right. You guys were not going to get second place. It's Stacy Kiefer.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't have gotten that.
Yeah, 81.23%.
Wow.
Actually, it's a tie. As I'm realizing, it's not listed as a tie, but it is between her and Lisa Fakis.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And then fourth place, Silva Saarinen. Fifth place, Holly Finley. Sixth, Kristen Tatar. Seventh, Cadence Burge. Eighth, Katrina Allen. That's pretty surprising, to be honest. Ninth place, Valerie Mondahano. And 10th place, like I said, Holland Hanley. And just to back up what you were saying about C2, 11th place, Paige Pierce. Having a good season there. So second last one, Shawnee G, you can lock it up here if you beat out Galen in this stat. Circle 1 in regulation percentage. Who is giving themselves the most C1 putts for birdie? Who do you think, Galen?
I am going to go with somebody who has been at times a favorite pick of Sean's this year, Big Money Missy.
Ooh. Big Money Missy.
Absolutely solid pick. That's a tough one to beat. I will go. I'll go KT. I'm going to go Kristen.
Kristen Tatar. Well, I will start by saying that Missy Gannon is in 8th. 36.39%. Galen, you should have went back to back, because number 1 is Evelina Salonen. 45.56%. Number 2, Henna Blumrose, which I forgot to mention in Circle 1 percentage. Henna is third worst.
Yeah, her.
But is second best. She gives herself the second most C1 putts, but misses the third most.
It sounds like a much better version of me.
It does, actually. Yeah,
I give myself looks and then miss all of them, and
you're an MA3.
Take several hundred points off of Henna, and
don't sell yourself short of your MA3 champion status.
Never.
Number 3 in Circle 1 in regulation, Kristen Tatar. Shawnee G locks it down, but we will finish with the final stat, and that is fairway hit percentage.
He's keeping it clean.
Galen, who do you think is number 1?
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to the well.
Who is just keeping it clean?
I'm going to go back to the well and say Evelina with fairway hits.
I'm going back to back KT.
Back to back KT.
Just putting it out there, I saw Robbie's face fall when I said Evelina, so I know it's not her. So Shawnee G takes it down 7-3. How far is the discrepancy between Kristen and Evelina here?
A little bit of a spoiler, but you're right. Yeah, Shawnee G takes it down. Kristen is in third, 79.34%. It is very close, though. Evelina is in sixth, 78.81%. Less than a percentage between the two of them, and in between them, we've got Emily Weatherman and Holland Hanley. Galen, once again, you should have gone back to back because number one was Big Money Missy. You had the right picks, just at the wrong time.
Just realized I muted myself because my dog was making noise. Apparently, I just see the future just a little too early.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Certainly
Shawnee
not.
G takes it down 7-3.
Certainly not research any disc golf stats. That's not what I'm going to do. There's no way.
No, definitely not. I don't know. I should have actually figured this out at the start of things here. I don't. Are we at the halfway point of the disc golf
getting
season
pretty
at this
close.
point? I'm not sure exactly
Got to
what
be close to it.
what we're at. If we're at the exact midway point, I'm not really sure. But yeah, that was entertaining, guys. That was I thought it was going to be a little bit of a battle at first, and then Shawnee G
Steamrolled.
kind of
Sean
ran away.
Sean turned on
ran
the
away at
jets.
the end. Yep, Shawnee G turning on the afterburners. But yeah, speaking of some Pro Tour, what do you guys think about moving on to some Pro Tour recaps?
Absolutely.
Let's riggedy rock. And with that, the West Coast Swing is rolling on with the second DGPT Plus event of the season going down on the beautiful courses of Glendoveer Golf Club in the east side of Portland, Oregon, right in the city. We'll start on the MPO side because, frankly, Gannon Bird made this the most boring event of the year, leading by 2 strokes after round 1, 6 strokes after round 2, 10 strokes after round 3, and finally winning by 8 strokes with Cole Redolin in second place and Ricky Wysocki in third. Gannon's 8-stroke win is the largest on the Pro Tour since Eagle McMahon won the 2021 Las Vegas Challenge, also by 8 strokes. In FPO, it was the return of the GOAT, with Paige Pierce taking down a 2-stroke win over Holland Hanley. This is Paige's first win in over a year, 382 days since last year's OTB Open, and is, of course, her first win since she broke her leg in Europe last year. Amazing to see her recovery. After finishing 5th at OTB and now winning Portland, hopefully we're back to seeing the Paige of old this season. And for Holland, this is her 6th podium of the season, the most of any player on tour, but was still, wink, wink, looking for her first win. Every other player with at least 3 podium finishes this season has a win. Maybe that changes for Holland soon in a coming preview. We'll see. The big storyline for us here in Canada, though, was who rounded out the podium in third. Friend of the show, Sophia Donica. In only her second DGPT event, she becomes the first Canadian to ever podium on the Pro Tour and first to podium at an Elite Series event since Elaine King at the 2013 Hall of Fame Classic. 11 years since that, and that at the time was on the National Tour, so considered an Elite Series. She was in a tie for first after round 2, and she broke the course record on Glendoveer West, shooting a neg 10, 10-19 rated round, the highest rated round of her career, surpassing the 10-14 round at Las Vegas that we discussed with her when we had her on the show recently. Her event average of 985 is also the highest of her career by a whopping 14 points, and the new highest rated and with the new, we're recording on ratings day now, she is now officially the highest rated Canadian woman, jumping ahead of Chantel Badinsky, who had a little bit of a ratings drop. Sophia jumped up to 945. And just a quick little aside, because I wanted to talk a little bit about the ratings, just top 10 in Canada now. We've got Sophia Donica, Chantel Badinsky, Sandy Hendel, Colleen McInnes, I forget her first name. It only tells me first names. Yeah, it is Irina Shakova. I knew I was going to get it right, but I didn't want to get it wrong. Christy Lee, Rachel Mowens, Alicia Hums, and friend of the show, Gabby Lee. And over on MPO, if I can get this to load real quick, the top rated Canadians now, we've got friend of the show, or will be friend of the show, Marty Hendel, friend of the show, Thomas Gilbert, Stuart McIsaac, Max Regitnig, Casey Hannemeyer, Noah Higgins, a new name that I didn't recognize until I was looking this up before the show, but an awesome name, Forrest Junker Allen. That is an awesome
Incredible
name.
name.
Chris O'Zolins, Jade Smith, and friend of the show, Cam Zanini, missing out on 1,000 rated by 1 point again. I think I saw earlier that he just stayed the same. He was 999 and just leveled out. So Cam, we're rooting for you for that 1,000 rated soon. But yeah, friend of the show, Sophia, now the highest rated. What a performance by her down in Portland. Shawnee G, let's throw it over to you first. What are some of your thoughts on
Let's
the
start
Portland
off
Open?
with acknowledging my amazing call that Paige Pierce would win. This was a really big day for me personally and exclusively. You are welcome, world. Paige really came through for me, and I am very appreciative of her effort at the Portland Open. I won't soon forget it. It was really awesome to see all of her friends shower her with love and champagne, and hearing her emotional interview with Nate afterwards. It really brought home just how great of a call that I made on the last show. Good for me. Sophia, I mean, what else can you say? You really summed it up amazingly, Robbie. She smashed it all weekend and really put the tour on notice that there is a new big arm and big putter hunting down podiums. It was it was so cool seeing the commentators, especially Zoe Andyke, be like, "Who is this?" When she was smoking the field and setting course records, and then also be like, and she's an awesome photographer, and here's her Instagram, and we don't know anything else about her, so we're finding every fact that we can. It was so cool to watch. The opposite of so cool to watch was the MPO side, which was extremely boring because Gannon Burr is so good. The Gannon cannon was on full display in Portland. He carded more than 3.5 strokes tee to green more than Cole Redolin and led the field in C1 and C2 in reg. The only stat that he wasn't in the top 6 was strokes gained putting, where he was like just outside of that. His putting really hasn't been up to his usual level of greatness this year, and maybe he needs to like wipe off the stamp of an old Prodigy disc to bring that together, or maybe Prodigy needs, or Discmania needs to clone some of his old Prodigy discs to really sort of make that click. Mind you, it didn't stop him from winning, so you know, what the hell do I know? Galen, anything?
Well, yeah. I mean, I just want to make sure that we're all aware who is actually responsible for Sophia's course record. So, of course, as a friend of the pod, when I saw that she had a great first round, I sent her a message and said, "Killer round today with one of these and a fire emoji," and she said, "Thank you," and I said, "Of course, keep it up tomorrow." And she said, "Thanks, I'll give it a try," and then proceeded to set the course record the next day. So I don't know how you could reach
The
any
old college
reasonable
try.
conclusion there besides that I have clairvoyant powers to foresee the future and bestow great disc golf capabilities upon our friends. I will try to use my newfound powers for good. I make no promises, but fantastic to see her kicking all kinds of ass up and down the course all weekend.
Absolutely.
In all seriousness, like it's so fantastic to have had her on and then watch that amazing result right after. Love to see it. Way to go, Sophia.
Way to go.
Yeah, it's just it's the formation of what we'll call the Missed Mando bump. And you know, you come on as a guest onto Missed
Hey,
Mando and you get a little bit of a bump in your play. And you go on and you get a podium in a DGPT Elite Plus event and secure yourself, I believe it was a cool $3,000 US that she took down from
it's
that.
like that's
So
like 15
yeah,
grand
nice.
Canadian or something like that. That's crazy.
No, yeah, at least I know, right? Jeez. And one other thing that I just wanted to add quick was just how cool it was to see in the week after Sophia on all
All of them.
of the podcasts that I listen to, basically all of the disc golf podcasts.
Hey, I mean, they were a
She was
little
on
late
them,
to the
and
game. I know they all want to be
oh,
like
absolutely.
us, but
Yep.
awesome to see
No,
Sophia making the rounds.
and selfishly, a little shout out to Sophia for making our interview video with her get quadruple the amount of views while she was going on that heater, and people were looking her up and trying to figure out what she was all about, and they were finding Missed Mando. So welcome to any new fans that we have because of Sophia. And Sophia, thanks for sending them our way. But yeah, super cool to see Sophia there. That's all I had. So Galen, let's send it over to you for a little picks recap, although Sean already got his gloating in early.
Well, yeah, I thought it was interesting that Sean was like really proud of his picks, given that on aggregate he actually had the lowest average pick performance of the three of us. So I mean, you and I tied,
How do I cut your mic off? Let me see
obviously.
here.
You can't from a distance. I know you wish you could. Robbie, you had Eagle on the MPO side, who finished in 10th, and Holland Hanley, who finished in 2nd. So 10 and 2 is 12. Divide that by 2. Your average pick performance was 6th. On the MPO side,
Quick math with
I
Galen.
had, yeah, I know, sorry, if this is a little too much for you, Sean, it's okay. So I had Calvin in the MPO side, who finished 6th. I had Own on the FPO side, who finished 6th. 6 and 6 is 12. Divide 6 and 6 by 2. You get an average pick ranking of 6th. And Sean had Paige Pierce, who finished in 1st. He also had Ezra Robinson in 16th. So you add 16 and 1, you get 17. Divide that by 2, you get 8.5. So, Sean, you did your best, man. Thanks for coming out. Robbie, congrats on a shared victory, highest of 5s.
Yeah, congrats on that, buddy. And you know what? I'm pretty content with even though it's only tied for 10th. Eagle coming off an injury, that's a huge performance for him. So hopefully we continue to see Eagle on the rise. And you know what? We'll move on and continue the West Coast swing, but we'll stay in Portland, Oregon, as the Disc Golf Pro Tour returns as a full elite series to Estacada, Oregon, and the renowned Milo McIver State Park for the historic Beaver State Fling, which was an elite series event on the national tour for years. In FPO, it was Holland Hanley taking down her first career Elite Series win. Ironically, in the first week that we don't do picks and I can't pick Holland Hanley finally to get a win, even though we all know I've been picking her all season long. So I'm a little butthurt about that. But anyways, congrats, Holland. She took it down in a playoff win over Owen Scoggins. She, of course, won Throw Pink last year, which is a major in a lot of people's eyes, including mine, but not in the official record book. So on paper, the biggest win of her career, first Elite Series win. Awesome for Holland to finally get that done. As I mentioned in the Portland Open breakdown, she had the most podiums this season without a win. So finally getting that monkey off her back. Awesome to see. Over in MPO, Gannon Burr completes the Oregon sweep, backing up his win in Portland with another win here, his third of the season, to tie Anthony Barella for most in 2024. This is Gannon's 7th major or Elite Series win of his career, passing his idol Will Schustrick and tying Steve Rico for 11th all-time in MPO. And he's not even 20 years old yet. Oh, my goodness. He also became the third MPO player in the last 3 seasons to have a bogey-free win. The other 2 also came at the Beaver State Fling. Weird stat. Eagle McMahon did it last year, and Garrett Gerthy did it the year before in 2022. Not sure what to really make of that stat, but thought that was pretty cool. Shawnee G, let's send it over to you. I know you're
Let
itching
me
to get into
paint
this
you
one.
a picture. So,
I'm
going
scared.
into 17, Holland is now 2 strokes back of Own. Hole 17 is an 888-foot long par 5. It's a monster hole. Holland hits a tree but lands fairly open. Own comes up really short on her drive. Holland's second shot was a big, like 320-foot plus shot over an OB road. She really, really went for it. It landed clean and safe. Then Own throws possibly the worst throw of her season so far. This like chopped up flex shot that turns into like a roller 20 feet away and rolls OB, a total disaster. Holland's approach gets her to circle edge, and she nails this like really wide, long straddle putt for birdie, and now she gets a turkey. Owen, meanwhile, bogeys it, and now they're tied going into 18th for an exciting race to the finish. One of the most exciting ones of the season so far. Hole 18 is another par four, generally one of the most birdieable holes on the course. Holland has the better drive, but Owen's drive is totally fine, but not as far. So Owen's got to throw first. Owen then throws maybe one of the best shots of her season so far. Smashes it. It's like it's leaning against the tree stump that the basket is built into. It is as parked as you can get. Jurassic
Parked.
Holland then her approach catches one of the logs that are surrounding the green, and it stopped it from skipping up towards the basket. And so now she's got like 55 foot putt, and she clutches the F up and drains this putt to an elevated basket to force a playoff. It was absolutely electric. If you've seen the highlight reel, it is just like, yeah, so great. Go to the playoff. Owen's second shot comes up way short in the trees, and she didn't really have a chance. Holland got a nice skip and got close enough for a bit of a tester birdie, but she ended up taking it down. It was one of the best finishes on the FPO side this year. Absolutely go back and watch at least the highlights, but definitely the Joe Mez coverage. One of the things I really liked, and you could really see it on the coverage, was simply how many people there were watching the FPO finale. The gallery was absolutely packed, and fantastic to see. There have been some pretty weak ass tournament turnouts in some of the stops so far this year. This was not one of them. This may have been the biggest FPO final turnout that we've seen all year. Love to see it. It was absolutely spectacular. Just to wrap things up, just wanted to draw attention to two, I think, really kind of fun stats from the weekend. The first is that Holland in the Holland versus Own battle, Holland was a little over 9 strokes better tee to green than Own, and then Own was a little more than 10 shots better than Holland on strokes gained putting. It is absolutely no surprise, but that Holland is a better driver and Own is a better putter. And Owen was also leading in almost all of the putting stats and none of the driving ones. It was just the parity of almost exactly gained tee to green, lost putting. That was a pretty cool stat to come across.
Yeah, I sort of love that it's almost identical strokes gained in one category versus lost in another. When you look at those two beside each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely a cool one to point out. Galen, any other thoughts from you, or we can move on to our little different picks recap? We didn't do quite picks. We did a little something else, but floor is yours, my friend. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm good for us to move to the picks recap. So, yeah, we did a little bit differently this time. We had Nate Doss resurfacing the first time in, is it 8 years? Some absurd number
6.
of years since his last event. 6 years. That was close. It's only off by a factor of 33%. It's fine. And so instead of picking our favorites to win MPO and FPO last episode, we asked ourselves a simple question. Does Nate Doss cash? Robbie answered yes. Sean and I answered no. And unfortunately, Nate did not cash, and clearly Robbie is an idiot for thinking that he would. But seriously, that he can come back from an interruption, a gap, a time off of playing, at least at the highest level of that magnitude, and still card, I believe it was 1,006 rated weekend, is incredibly impressive. So I hope we see more of Nate this year. I don't know if we will. I don't know if he's registered for anything else. I checked earlier and I didn't see anything. But it'd be great if he poked his head out of that groundhog hole a couple more times and showed us what he's made of. Any thoughts on Nate Doss's performance this weekend from either of you?
Well, yeah, he ended up finishing tied for 71st. He had a round 2, 10-26 rated with no OBs. Great round. Great round there. I think he averaged 1,000 or over 1,000 for the event, which is really awesome. Yeah, I mean, when I made that pick, did I really have a ton of faith in it? I think even in the messages that we were sending, I said, I don't really believe in this, but I'm going to send it out in the universe and have faith. I definitely wanted to see it happen. Nate Doss, I believe, is a 3-time world champion, a legend of the sport. And for most people that have gotten into it, like the sport has grown so much through this COVID era. Most people don't know Nate Doss as anything other than a commentator, and maybe know him for his beer company up in Oregon. But he is a legend. And yeah, it was awesome to see him back, regardless of the fact that we didn't see him very much on coverage at all because he did not play very well. But still, just a cool story. I hope that we can see more of, Nate Doss, Ken Climo, Feldberg, guys like that popping up every once in a while at tournaments like this, or even playing, like how they do the the par 3 challenge at the Masters, with some of the older. They'll bring out some of the older like legends of golf. That would be cool if they could do something like that at like the USDGC with some legends. I know they did. I think they did a skins match at USDGC with like Ken Climo, Feldberg. Sexton was on it, and I don't know what the fourth was. I should know, but anyways, yeah, I love seeing the old vets come out and play. And what was because he hadn't his rating hadn't updated since he had last played. He's still like 1036 rated right now or something like that. He's one of the highest rated in the field, which is just a little funny to see. But yeah, cool to see Nate Doss.
Yeah, that's wild. And I mean, just to to put things in a perspective, I play the baby layout at a course in Ontario, shoot the highest rated weekend of my career at like a slightly above a 950. Meanwhile, he's taking 6 years off playing championship level courses and smashing that by 50 points in his sleep. It's very easy for us to be like, yeah, maybe he's not playing at this moment like the Gannons and the Rickies and the Pauls in their prime. But holy crap, that is still a heck of a weekend after a break of that magnitude. That is
He
wild.
comes in, shakes the rust off. He beats some names. He beats Andrew Presnell, Robert Burridge, Thomas Gilbert, Alden Harris, Jake Wolf, Vino Makala. These are younger guns with bigger arms, and he comes in and he bests them. It was awesome to see.
It's fantastic to see. Any other thoughts to share, or should we move to our tour previews?
Let's keep on chugging, conductor.
All right.
I don't know what that was.
I don't know either, but I actually enjoyed it, so let's roll with it. So let's start with the Turku Open in Turku, which I'm sure I'm saying wrong to folks that are Finnish, in Turku, Finland. Last year's winners, we had Jessi Nieminen and Rachel Turton. And the Turku Open this year is shaping up to be interesting. By field strength, it might be the weakest that we see on an Elite Series stop all year. honestly has more of the feel of a notable local A tier than a Pro Tour stop. Um, we actually have only 5 American MPO players registered to compete, and only 2 are likely on your Tour Series discs and chosen in your fantasy leagues, James Proctor and Eric Oakley. We do have a strong European contingent, though, with the likes of Niklas Antala, Lauri Lehtinen, Jakob Semerad, Juna Heinonen, Vaino Makala, Jesse Nieminen, and Kristen Tatar's arch nemesis, Silver Lot, all registered. And with how he's been playing this year, we got to feel like Nicholas Antala has to be the favorite, but I don't see it as a walk in the park per se. So we'll see how this weekend goes. On the FPO side, there are a whopping 0 American women playing in the event. We will see some recognizable names, though, with the likes of Evelina Salonen, Henna Blomroos, Silva Saarinen, Heidi Laine, Rachel Turton, and Kate Titati. And again, a bit of a weaker field, but still with the potential for some intrigue if a few of them pop off. So I'm curious where both of your heads are at. Let's do a couple of picks. I'm curious if anybody has Kristen's nemesis anywhere in them. Let's go to Robbie first. Who do you like for this tournament?
All right. I finally get to pick first in this. Finally, it happens. You know what? In MPO, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to start in FPO because this is where I'm pretty confident. And it's actually not what you guys may think. But I am picking Silva Saarinen. She has been on a tear in Europe since she has gone back over there. She finished third at the Copenhagen Open. She won the Norway Open as a DGP silver event, and she is coming off of a win at the Heinola Open, also a DGPT silver event. So she is on a heater right now. She loves playing in Europe. She won a ton in Europe last year. So I'm going to ride the hot hand, and I'm going to go with Silva Saarinen. And on the MPO side, boom, boom, boom. This one is a little bit trickier, but I think I am just going to go chalk, and I'm going to say Niklas Antala as my MPO winner. Top rated MPO in the field.
Yeah, can't be upset at either of those picks. How about you, Sean? Over to you.
I am going to go Rachel Turton for FPO. She clearly did pretty well here last year. She knows the course. She's been having a great year. So Rachel's my pick for FPO. On the MPO side, I'll go. Was it the number 2 best putter on Circle 2 or whatever the stat was in our game? I'll go James Proctor. Let's go Team Thought Space.
Love it, love it, love it.
I dig it.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go with Henna Blomroos on the FPO side. She's had some great finishes this year. Second at the Champions Cup, third at Music City, fourth at All Star, and at the Open at Austin. Just kind of feels to me like she's due, so I'm going to lock that in, Henna Blomroos. And on the MPO side, I'm going to go with Lauri Lehtinen. Took down second at the Norway Open, third at the Heinola Open, both DGPT silvers. And for me, it feels like he's rounding into form at the perfect time to put an exclamation point on the European swing this weekend. So we'll see how that goes. Any other thoughts you want to share on Turku, or should we go over to the Preserve Championship? All right.
Full steam ahead.
Let's do it. Moving on to the Preserve, we get back to the strength of field that we're used to seeing in both open divisions. On the MPO side, we have an interesting battle shaping up, an event that feels absolutely wide open, to me anyway. Last year's champ, Ricky Wysocki, is still working to find his form, some consistency, and he's going to have to find that form against the likes of Gannon Burr, Simon Lizotte, Matty O, the Robinson brothers, Kyle Klein, AB, and last year's second place finisher, Cole Redolin. And over in FPO, we have defending champ Katrina Allen having to battle the likes of Owen Scoggins, Holland Hanley, Owen Scoggins, Holland Hanley. Can you guys tell it's 10:58 p.m. and I'm tired? Katrina Allen battling the likes of Owen Scoggins, Holland Hanley, who is hot off of a Beaver State Fling win. Big Money Missy, Cat Merch, Natalie Ryan, and don't call it a comeback, but Paige Pierce is here with a vengeance too. I think it's shaping up to be a pretty interesting weekend. Very excited to see how it goes. For picks, let's go over to Robbie first. Robbie, who do you have this weekend at the Preserve? Not this weekend. Oh my God, guys, it's 10:58. I'm tired. Who do you have at the Preserve whenever it's played?
Yeah, whenever we
6
get
months
to
from
it
now,
eventually.
next year, 2025, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. In FPO, you know what? I'm going to ride the hot hand. I've been picking her all damn season. I'm not going to stop now. Even though the one time that she finally got a win, I wasn't able to pick her. I'm going to double down and I'm going to think that she's going to go back to back. Hall and Hanley, let's go. Let's get it done. And in the MPO side, I am going for a back to back winner. Not on the Pro Tour, not 3 straight for Gannon Burr. Back-to-back preserves for Ricky Wysocki. I think Ricky is going to take down his first win of the season. I just think he's so motivated to finally get that win. He is, I believe, I do have it up here in a tab somewhere. Yep, he is second place in the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings so far this year, ahead of Calvin Heimberg and Anthony Barella. Barella has really struggled lately, but still has 3 wins. Calvin had those back-to-back wins. Ricky's ahead in the standings, but is still looking for that win. So I think he takes it down here. He did it last year. I think he's going to do it again. Ricky Wysocki, he's going to do it.
Okay. I can't be mad at those picks, except that I was hoping to pick Holland myself, so I'm mad at that. But great choices. Over to you, Sean. Who do you got this Preserve?
Robbie going back to back with his picks has inspired me. I'm going Paige Pierce for this one as well. Back to back, back to back for her. She didn't play at the Beaver State, but she went home. She rested, she relaxed, played with the dog. Ayla came home from Spain, so I think she's going to be ready to go. I'm going Paige Pierce on this one, and on the men's side, Ricky. I don't think Ricky wins a tournament all year. I don't. I don't see it happening. I know I went. I know I went Ezra Robinson last time, and I was thoroughly spanked on that one. He just hit something like 1040 rated, his highest. He. Yeah, I know. I'm okay. I'm not going to do it. It says Simon is registered for this one. Do we know that he's going to show up?
It would be his first event back.
He's been playing with the robot.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't give it to him on his first one back. It took him like 2 months to get warmed up to win his last one. Let's go. This is a tough one. Let's go a little bit farther down. Let's go Culver Dolan.
I dig it.
Oh my God, you two stealing both of my picks.
He came in second. Second last year. He clearly is pretty solid on this course. Let's go Culver Dolan.
Now I gotta rethink everything about my life now, because I had Holland and I had Cole in my head. Okay.
I think I read somewhere a quote from one Mr. Galen Naidu Harris. It was something along the lines of, going to go with Cole Rodolin feels like he can build off of last year's second finish. Plus, feels like this is wide open with a number of players having high peaks, but also low valleys. Anybody's game, and I like his chances.
Oh, so
I think that was a direct quote I read.
Is this why the show notes that we have in prep, we don't write our picks ahead of time because they're going to get poached by our co-hosts? Is that what's going on here? Interesting.
Sounds
Very
like a
interesting. Okay, so now
I will say that I absolutely did not read ahead and see that you picked Holland before I did. I will be honest. Although I will also admit that it wouldn't have stopped me from picking
oh,
Holland
there's
if
no
I had
way.
saw
Yeah,
it.
so I
So
assumed you
either
picked it, and
way,
we're just plowing through anyway.
Honestly, and I also
Okay.
didn't read your picks at all whatsoever either. Just purely,
Well,
I'm
hey,
as
hey,
surprised
yeah,
as you
great
are that I picked it. But it is a solid pick. I know
great minds are thinking
because I
alike.
picked it.
Yeah, of
just
course.
to also, we read that quote that
Mhm.
argued for Sean's pick, but we'll also just let's let Galen argue for my pick as well. Holland Hanley, she podiumed last year and is rolling off of that fantastic win at the Beaver State Fling. Tons of podiums this year. I like her to keep that momentum rolling. Thanks, Galen. I really like your
Absolute
support of
solid
my
pick,
Yeah,
pick.
hey,
Robbie.
hey, anytime you want a quote supporting your picks, you just let me know. I'll write it ahead of time. No problem. Okay. Oh my God. So on our back foot, we're recalibrating here, boys. Okay. Well, I have to say it does feel a little ridiculous, even though she wasn't going to be my top choice. That Owen Scoggins is still on the board here on the FPO
Mhm.
side.
Dog.
So since I can't since I can't take Holland, I am going to be boring and go and take the name on the top of the ratings list and say Own Dog is going to take this down on the FPO side. And on MPO, our two choices off the board were Ricky and Cole Radolin. Is that
Correct.
correct? Okay. Great. Then if I can't have choices that I picked earlier and be creative and do write-ups, I'm going to be super boring.
Janitor.
I'm going to take the two highest rated players this event, Gannon Burr and Owen Scoggins. Come at me, bro.
Absolute. I mean,
Rock
solid
chalk.
picks. Solid picks. Own didn't play the preserve
Yep.
last year. It'll be interesting to see how she takes it down this year.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting weekend, especially at the preserve for all people who were picked. So I'm just saying, if one of those two who I did a little paragraph write up on winds up winning another side, never talking to you guys
Perfect.
again. It's probably better for the quality of the podcast. So
I can't
it's a bit of a
I
win-win.
can't argue with your picks or that sentiment.
All
Yep.
right. Well, rolling off of those picks, I believe we got a few other things to talk about. Let's talk about some top Ontario courses. Did you want to take the captain's chair back for this one, Robbie?
Yeah, yeah. Ahoy, your captain speaking. I don't know what that was either. I'm on like a conductor. It's planes, trains, and automobiles
I'm here
apparently
for it.
are in my brain. But yes, UDisc came out with an article of the 5 best disc golf courses in each of Canada's provinces and territories. And I thought, why not take a look at the top 5 here in Ontario? And then maybe get a little bit of some personal top 5. The UDisc list that they put out has number 1 the Innova Island Dunes at Eddyville Super Spin. Number 2, Newcastle Disc Golf. Number 3, Haute Goat. Number 4, the Prodigy Dream Course at Eddyville Super Spin. And number 5, the Project 15 course. 5 great courses. What do you guys personally think about this list here? Galen, let's go to you first.
I gotta say, my thoughts will be pretty brief because I've only played one of the 5. I've been hearing for years about the likes of Eddyville, Oat Goat, and
What?
P15. I've only played Newcastle. I've played a little closer to home for most of my short disc golf career. I'll say that Newcastle for me belongs certainly in that top 5. Had some great moments. The Forefathers Open last year at Newcastle, the first drive of the day. I aced on the elevated ace hole for a nice disc golf bag and a nice
How many people
ace
paid into that
pot.
A spot?
One. One person
Ooh,
paid in. I believe there were 6 aces that weekend, maybe 7. The
I
only
think it was
guy
6.
the only guy who paid in is right here. So I scooped 250 from the ace pot,
Let's
scooped a
go.
bag, and besides having a great memory there, I love that course. It's a great mix. Some open shots,
Mhm.
some forehand shots, some backhand shots, elevation changes. Loved it, and I look forward to and hope to play at the rest of them. And the things that I've heard, even I believe some rounds I've commented on, have looked spectacular. the words that I've heard have been spectacular. So I hope to get out there when I can teach those courses.
Heck yeah. We'll send it over to Shawnee G. I want to know what your thoughts are on this list. But while he's doing that, Galen, I'm curious because I'm going to ask Sean the same thing. But if there's a bunch of courses on this that you haven't played, I'm curious to know what your personal Ontario top 5 would be. So stew on that a little bit while we send it over to Shawnee G. What do you think first and foremost of the UDisc list and
I
the
haven't
order that it
played
has it
the
in?
2 Eddyville courses, so I can't speak to those. But the list is, I mean, the other 3 on the list are absolutely worthy of being there. Newcastle. So I'm now up to 139 courses played in 3 years,
Sheesh.
and Newcastle is absolutely in my top 5 for sure, unquestionably. I absolutely love playing that course. They have done such an amazing job at making it a pretty special course. Yeah, I think it's absolutely worthy of being number 2 on this list, if not higher. Project 15. What a fantastic course. I don't get out there enough to play it. It's just a bit of a hike for me. I always can't wait to get back out there and play it again. I don't. Yeah, I mean, this list is solid. It's interesting that there are newer courses on this list and not some of the classics that may have dominated the list 5-10 years ago. Your Toronto Islands, your Christie Lake, my home course, White Spruce, or like it's really showing sort of the growth of courses in Ontario, and you absolutely love to see it. I'm curious how long it will be until a course like Albion Hills or Trail Hub or some of the courses up in like Huntsville might get on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's fantastic. I love seeing the growth of the sport in the province.
Yeah, I totally agree. Do you have off the top of your dome, Shawnee G, a personal top 5 of
Oh
Ontario
God! I mean,
courses?
Newcastle is absolutely up there. Um, yeah,
Newcastle is my number
it's.
one.
I think it probably is my number one. Um, I as a white sprucer, I have to have that on my top 5 as well. I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, personal top
Yeah,
fives can be whatever you want.
I would probably put Albion Hills on my top 5, maybe like 4th. Christie Lake
Mm-hmm.
is on that list.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's tough. There's so many I haven't played yet. So it's like
Yeah,
yeah,
it goes without saying that I haven't played
yeah,
every course in Ontario. So when I give my top 5, there might be some that are
sure.
missing that I just haven't played. A little bit of a caveat, but and of course
Yeah,
you got to have
King's
some
Forest
personal
Winter
picks in there
Course
too.
is so much fun to play. Um, Fireman's is fantastic. It's just there's too many good courses to pick from. The new Trail Hub is super fun to play.
Yeah, we
Limberlost is great. Like we're spoiled. We're absolutely spoiled.
Yep.
Yeah, we are definitely spoiled with courses here in Ontario. I will quickly rattle off mine and then go to you, Galen, if you have yours. Like I already said, Newcastle probably my number one. I don't play it as often as as I should. It's just a bit of a hike for me coming from Cambridge, but it is one that every year for the Forefathers Open, I am super excited to go back to. Can't wait to go back this year. Going to be a blast, and the work that has gone over, just the way that like the features every single year. I go back and there's new benches, there's new railways between or like railways, like hand guards, all wooden,
Are you having a
in
stroke? What are
between
you trying to
holes.
say?
The handrails.
There we go.
That's what. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, maybe I
Sorry,
was for a
I was
second
worried
there.
about you there, pal.
And then, of course, anyone that's been there knows like the signature circle hole where it's this wooden structure you throw through a circle. Just awesome. Number 2 on my personal list would probably be Project 15. I love that course, and it keeps getting better every time I'm out there. It's very challenging too, which is just something that I love. Number 3 for me would probably be Christie Lake. I actually no, sorry, King's Forest. King's Forest. If that was a year-round course, maybe that even like discredits it from a top 5 because it's not year-round. But I will include it because I love it so much. And then the one that I just said, Christie Lake, and number 5. Wow,
A lot of competition.
that actually there are so many. I do love like some of the Eddyville courses. I've played a bunch of tournaments there. I do love probably myself. I think I prefer the Prodigy course out there. Definitely highly recommend that you guys do make it out there at some point to try it. My 5th, maybe Paris. It's close to me, so I play it a lot. It's where I got my first win in MA1, so holds a little special place for me. And yeah, I always have a blast out there. So maybe I would include that one as my 5th. If anything else comes to mind, I'll maybe change it. But Galen, I'm interested to hear yours because you said that you'd only played one on that list. So what's your personal top 5? Doesn't include your Bronte Creek.
Yeah, of course it does. So I was just taking a look, trying to familiarize myself here. According to UDisc, and there have been a few that I've played that have not been on UDisc, but 51 courses. So I think probably I'm somewhere in the low 50s. The vast majority in Ontario, so like a good number, but not as many as Mr. 139 over there. So yeah, I have to. I'm not going to check my bias at the door here. I have to acknowledge it, but I've got a lot of affection for the courses that I play most often. So the course that I've played the most, sitting at 250 rounds played, is Bronte Creek. And I'm not going to rank mine in any particular order, but Bronte is absolutely in my top 5. And third at a lowly 42 rounds played is King's Forest. And those are my 2 home courses. Bronte year round, King's Forest through the winter. I just can't say enough good things. I mean, Bronte with the 2 tee pads, the 2 baskets, you have 4 different courses. The folks that take care of that course are spending time, moving the baskets around, manicuring the course, taking care of things year round, and it shows. Same thing at King's Forest. The folks that are charged with caring for that course do a spectacular job. It's got a great mix: short holes, long holes, golf course holes, elevation changes, wooded holes, forehand holes, backhand holes. Absolutely on my list. I'm having trouble sort of narrowing down my last 3 spots. Those 2 are sort of free spaces for me. I'm going to add a couple of names we haven't heard yet, just for the sake of a little bit of, of diversity in this conversation. I think I could easily put Newcastle there. Could easily put Christie Lake there, Paris there. But because those names have been said, I'm going to take for my last 3 spots, Dads of Muskoka, a course that is a couple hours north of me, but not too far off where my wife's family lives. Just a spectacular course, really
I
interesting.
still need to play it.
Yeah, I highly recommended.
Mhm.
Like King's Forest, but in different ways. A good variety of shots. Just absolutely gorgeous. Like if you're just talking about the experience of playing there, it can be very peaceful, very meditative. Except when you dink something off the top end and roll down a hill. But like it's a great place to play disc golf, and I think that counts for something. And to round it out, I'm gonna add. I'm gonna add. I had this in my head, and now I'm second guessing myself. Nope, gonna stick with it. Wolf Tracks up in Bondi Village.
Yeah.
That for me, the day that I played it, I said to myself, and perhaps to anybody who was listening, that was my favorite course that I had ever played. And I think it certainly stays in that caliber of course for me. There are some courses that I'd put it head to head with that would certainly be in that conversation, but just a spectacular place to play disc golf. Again, beautiful. Again, a great mix of shots. the care shown for the course shows, and some great tournaments and great memories there. So that one's there for me. And then a little bit of familiarity.
Did that great experience have anything to do with who was on your card during that
Of
first
course,
round?
buddy. That was the first meeting of the minds of Robbie Holden and Galen Naidu Harris.
That was where we met,
And the rest is history.
baby.
And I played terrible that day too. I was shanking shots. I think I barely made it to the tee pad before we were ready to tee off because I got myself turned around. I was running late.
Mhm.
But a spectacular day. We had Marcus on our card that day too, right? Yeah.
Yep, and Nathan
Yeah,
Thompson, another
and they
Guelph
taught
guy out here.
that was a heck of a
Unreal
card. That
card.
was fantastic.
Unreal.
And so some very fond memories there, some of which involve one co-host that is to the right of me on my screen. And the last one I'll shout out is a bit of a preview because the vast majority of people that are hearing this will not have had a chance to even play this course yet. But I got to shout out Kelso. I've mentioned a few times that
Hey.
we are going to be running a regular summer league starting soon on Wednesday nights at the Kelso Conservation Area in Milton, Ontario. I will be helping to run that league. I'm very excited about it. Both Sean and I are lucky enough to have had previews of the back nine of the course that will be in regular play. Um, I love the way that Jeff and Kara from Chainlink have done this. So they've decided they're going to do sort of like a 3-hole green birdie beginner course for anybody who wants to walk off the street, grab a few discs from a friend or from a loaner library or from the trailhead, and just throw them and just have a good time. Accessible to anybody of any age. A 9-hole blue course. I think they were tossing around the idea of like a blue bird as the name for sticking with the bird theme course. That is going to be a little more challenging, some elevation, some longer shots, some tougher pars, but should be pretty tackleable for players of regularity. If you play disc golf, if you got a bag, if you got 20 discs, you're probably going to play it and have a good time, even if you're cursing yourself out a little bit every now and again on a challenge or two. And the back nine that has just been added, that will be open to the public at some point in the not too distant future, because they're still putting some finishing touches on. A black diamond course, a black bird course. We've talked about this before. Perhaps the hardest nine that Sean and I have played. Certainly for me in Ontario, a spectacular course, a lot of fun, a lot of the same characteristics that I love about like a Wolf Tracks, or I love about a King's Forest. Recurring themes at this point, but elevation changes, forehand holes, backhand holes, difficult holes, gettable holes. Just a really, really great mix, a really, really, really great place to play. I grew up hiking and playing and whatever elsing in Conservation Halton Park. So for me, seeing this place that I've called, part of my home away from home for going on 30 years now be host to my favorite sport is really exciting for me. And besides just, that familiarity of going, this is a place that I know and love, and it's got disc golf. The course is spectacular. So that's my top 5.
Heck yeah. Love it. And before we move on to our next kind of final topic, just want to close that out with just a huge shout out to all the course designers that we have here in Ontario. We have some amazing courses here in Ontario, and they just keep popping up. Every single year, we get more and more awesome courses. And as someone that cannot get enough disc golf, I am super thankful for all of the amazing course designers that we have here. So, shout out to everybody. And Shawnee G, I will send it over to you, my friend, for this topic that I know you wanted to dive into. I don't think you've ever
Buckle
been
the
more
hell
excited for a
up,
topic.
because we've got proposed 2025 PDGA rule changes. I am that guy. I am the rules nerd, 100%.
Nerd.
You have to know the rules to strategically use them against your opponents and come right up to the line of cheating, but do not cross it ever. You do not want to foot fault that. Thank you. The glass is excellent. I appreciate this.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
do it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. It is rules school time. So, as every year, the PDGA puts out a list of proposed changes to the rules and the competition manual, um, and try and fixes mistakes that they made in the previous iterations. And so this year is no different. So I'm going to run through some of, but somehow not all of the proposed changes. So first off, big proposed change is they're proposing to allow twice per round a 1 minute sort of time out that players can choose to take. The intent is to allow a little extra time to assess a lie or check a line, over a blind corner, or otherwise give a player a little extra time to focus up in clutch moments. It'll be up to the card to tell the player when the 1 minute is up, which is kind of odd. You've got another thing that you have to keep track of, but it might be nice to give players one extra breather, especially if they are, some of the slower putters on tour. This gives them a reason to be slower. Yeah.
Just a quick little thought that I have on that one. It serves zero purpose to me because in order for that rule to have actual merit, the 30-second rule needs to actually be
Yeah.
called
Yeah.
ever,
It's true.
and it just doesn't. So it doesn't matter. Like, a player doesn't need to take a timeout because they can just take as much time as they want. I mean, I guess eventually someone would call you, but no one takes that egregious amount of a time. But people go over that all the time, and
This is true.
nobody gets called for it. So
So
I don't really see
I,
that
I actually
making much of a change.
call me crazy. I actually disagree a little bit because I think this rule could have a little bit of downward pressure. I think it creates pressure if everybody knows you get 1 minute twice around only. That you can then say in a moment that might be a little more tense when somebody is taking their time, lining up their putt, putting their bag down, grabbing their chalk bag, assessing their lie, going back, changing putters. Nobody is going to love calling the rules. I don't think anybody ever does.
Mm.
Perhaps Sean at certain times, but nobody loves and nobody does call the 30-second rule unless it's just so egregious and over and over. But I wonder if this creates a different pathway. If it is a rule that twice around you get a minute, for somebody to say, like, hey man, I'm not trying to be rude about this, but like we get a minute once around. You've been taking a while. Just something as simple as that.
Mhm,
That doesn't sound like a crazy or explosive statement to make, and I think it creates a little bit of an
mhm.
opportunity for there to be a little bit of pressure on the cards for players to actually be a little more cognizant of the time they're taking. Um, Maybe that's a little pie in the sky, but that's the way I would look at it. And I think if there was a situation where I was waiting over and over and over again for a player, it's a little tougher now to like bust out the 30-second stopwatch. But I think it's a more innocuous but still meaningful comment to be like, hey, we get a minute twice around. I'm not trying to be rude, but you're taking a little bit of time here. And just have that sort of sit with the card and the players that are taking a little bit more time. I could see it being a positive
I'm waiting
addition.
for the PDGA to officially
Yeah, I
license an
like that
air
take.
horn that you can keep in your bag on and blast at 31 seconds. I think that's super important. Next proposed change is that, did you know that flex starts weren't actually allowed? Apparently they were not one of the
I
allowed competition styles. So
I read this
So, oops,
beforehand, and I'm still
we're going to
confused.
actually make flex starts legal. They will only be allowed for 1 day, 1 round C tiers and sanctioned leagues, and otherwise will follow the same rules as tea time tournaments. Um, the only 2 round flex tournament that I normally would play is the Toronto Open, which is, play 1 round at Dentonia and then 1 round over at Scarlet Woods over the span of a week. Uh, not sure how that's going to work going forward if
It's
this
not the
changes.
Toronto Open's not sanctioned though, is
Oh,
it?
is it? I thought it was. Oh no, you're right. It's not a sanctioned tournament.
I don't
You
think
are
so.
totally
Okay.
right. It doesn't matter. It's not going to affect them. That is still the only 2 round flex start that I play. But no, you are totally correct. Thank you for that.
I know it's rare to have me be correct, but I just thought
I'm
just
as
in case.
surprised as you
Right.
are. Another thing that is surprising me is the next proposed change. Uh, King of segues. Um, Limited photo and video evidence will now be allowed for tournament directors to clarify things like the teeing area or restricted routes, aka Mandos, OBs, and hazards, or drop zones. Technically, they still won't be able to use photo and video to determine if a disc is inbounds or out of bounds. So, uh, best practice, make sure when you're taking a picture to try and determine if a painted line is relevant to competition, which is the phrasing in the rule. Frame it to coincidentally include the disc in question, and maybe it comes up in conversation. Who knows? Um, Another why they really should have expanded photo and video evidence as just a general rule for making calls later on, especially when it comes to OBs. It's everybody's got a freaking camera on them. Come on, let's go.
The only problem is the inconsistency with
On the Pro Tour,
coverage, because only a
absolutely.
certain amount of cards are on.
But I
Yeah,
think as a
yeah.
general rule, if you're throwing a provisional, because you can't tell if it went OB because the line is like, take a whole bunch of pictures, do like a walk around video, and be able to give
Mhm.
that to the TD and say, here's our best effort. Please make a
Yep.
call. I think that we're high time to be able to do that.
To be honest, I kind of thought that was
Yeah.
already the way to do it, because the amount of
Take a
times
picture.
that I've heard, like,
Yeah.
if you're unsure, take a
Yeah.
photo and I'll decide afterwards from a TD. I've
Technically
heard that all the time.
not allowed
And I
to be
guess,
done. Not allowed to be
yeah,
done currently.
interesting.
The next
Very
change
interesting.
I like to call the local sandbagger rule. So if the tournament director knows that some local doesn't want to join the PDGA for whatever reason and start building up ratings, um, this is going to be a guy. It's always going to be a guy. Women will never do this. But we know that he like absolutely shreds this course. And he wants to sign up for friggin' MA4 or whatever and win by 15 and claim that sweet merch out. The TD will now be able to say, hell no, I know you personally, and I know that you're trying to bag this, you dirty bagger. You're going to MA1 where you belong. The tournament director can now, based on personal local knowledge, assign a division to a player who is not a PDGA member. I think that's a positive thing.
Mm.
I'm curious to see if it actually gets used. I don't know. It
Just
avoids that whole, the PDGA says that MA4 is for your first tournament or whatever, but not for everybody. Not for everybody.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
wonder if there need to be some restrictions on that though, because like devil's
Mhm.
advocate, and I do agree that objectively, I think I like
Mhm.
that rule change. But I wonder about specific situations where there's a tournament director who has a
Could be.
grudge. There's two people that don't get
Yep.
along. There's somebody that makes a call that might not actually be justified, but because they are king of the castle of that tournament, they get to. I wonder how practical it would be to add a layer of enforcement to this rule that would prevent it from being abused. And I also wonder if you can't prevent abuse, how much it makes sense to do that. I mean, maybe there's a complaint mechanism that I'm not familiar with, whereby a player can register their discontent with the division. But it just gets, I feel like, dicey. I mean, you can sort of like, if you have a great tournament weekend or have a crappy tournament weekend, almost justify anything. So, if you have a local player that is, playing at like a 940, 950, 960 level who hasn't played a rated event before and wants to sandbag MA4, MA3, whatever, and the TD goes, no, that's ridiculous. I know you're better than that. You're not playing that division. You're playing M1. And then that player craps the bed and shoots, I don't know, 750 rated golf for the weekend, worst weekend of their career. What are the repercussions there? How do you deal with those specific cases? Um, so in general, I actually like that rule, but I feel like it opens up some interesting cans of worms for how it is that's enforced. how much power goes to the TDs and that sort of thing. So I don't know if there's some additional text to that rule that I'm just not privy to at this moment, but I'm curious if it's implemented, what that looks like, because I could see some cases of people being quite frustrated with it, and I wonder how those
I
would be
think
dealt with.
this builds on the proposal that was scrapped last year to require PDGA membership for C tiers and higher, and that D tiers would not require it. This is a way to sort of not require membership, but still be able to protect the integrity of those lower divisions from absolute filthy sandbaggers.
Yeah. How much merch did you sandbag for in MA3, Galen?
$98,
Oh,
pal.
yeah.
Oh, actually, no.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hold on a second.
Ooh.
I had $8 in Dreamaker store
What?
credit remaining because there was supposed to be a 10%
Ooh,
discount applied to my
cool.
campground that wasn't applied. So it was $90, and I got myself a nice
There you go.
disc grabber and a an RPM key.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
Sandbagger.
Yeah, you know it, baby.
next proposed rule.
John
I
sponsored
am
by
sponsored
Bago
by
Sand, though.
Orangeville Bag of
Yes.
Sand. I'm not. I just have the t-shirt. Next is regarding trophies for AM events. When a tournament is advertised as trophy only and that there's no merch out, and there is only one player in a division, the TD can advertise ahead of time that no trophy would be given to a one-player division. And this is to make it easier and, in particular, cheaper for TDs to provide more divisions for underserved, or more divisions for the underserved portions of the sport, primarily women's divisions in smaller markets. I don't have any issue with that. I think that's a pretty reasonable compromise. Trophies, they're not free. Also regarding tournaments, TDs have been able to do a pass-through fee for things like porta potties at tournaments. And one of the proposed changes is that providing a washroom at a C tier or higher event will now be mandatory. TDs will be required, if there's no toilet on site, to rent a porta potty, and they will be able to pass through that cost through the tournament registration fees.
Yep. That's fantastic.
And one other thing that they
just,
can't say that
yeah.
that the tournament that there's, like, let's say Bronte. Bronte's got those permanent washrooms way the hell across the other side of the parking lot. Tournament director won't be able to say, "Oh, you can just go use theirs." They have to be within a, quote, reasonable distance of the course. And this is something that women players in particular have been yelling about for decades, probably, that they need more washrooms, especially. And this is a super positive change, especially for women players and really for everyone. I'm really glad to see that the PDGA proposing this one, even if it is a negligible extra effort and cost for the tournament and the TD. It's well in the range of reasonable, and it's about time.
Yep. No, you made the point I was going to make, Sean, that, a lot of us participate in the same bodily functions that sometimes require access to a washroom that is not always the case on a disc golf course. I will say Bronte has added a permanent
This
porta
is true.
potty near the course. So
Yep.
shout out, Bronte.
Mhm.
But besides the functions that we all share, a lot of people that play disc golf also
Mhm.
menstruate, and they're not all women. A lot of them are, but those folks specifically may need access to a washroom when folks like the three of us do not.
Absolutely.
And so I think this is great. Love to see
Absolutely love to see it. It's fantastic, much needed, and long overdue change.
Yep.
Some minor changes as well as these big ones. Players will now be able to call penalties on themselves and not need a seconder, which is an interesting one. I think I recall Paige Pierce a few years ago tried to call herself on a foot fault and nobody seconded her. And so she did like a courtesy violation on the rest of the card for not watching her throw, something like that. So new, yeah, it's wild.
What?
So you now will no longer require a seconder, and this is sort of in the spirit of the game and stuff like that. Another small change. Did you know that if you have a tournament stamp disc that was not done by the manufacturer, that is an illegal disc and you're not allowed to use it in PDGA competition? Well, that's going to change. And so one of the proposed changes is that hot stamp, normally you could dye or you could use a marker, something that did not create a discernible thickness in the surface of the disc when you're marking it and changing how it looks. You will now be able to do hot stamping. So like shops and stores and teams and whatever, where they add their own stamp to your disc that is not done by the manufacturer, that will now be or now would be, if this rule's adopted, would now be legal, provided that it doesn't otherwise change the spec of the disc or what have you. Another minor change, which I think is going to be super fun as a highly trained professional spotter at the MVP Open for the last 2 years, I'm very excited. Yeah, highly trained, as
Highly
in
trained.
here's a red and a green flag, go out to that hole over there and we wave them around. Normally or currently, spotters have no authority whatsoever. You give your opinion to the card and they can disregard it entirely as they see fit and say, no, it went OB over there. Fine. That's the current rule. The new rule is that propose that the TD will be able to effectively deputize spotters who are certified officials, i.e., like me, and they will be able to actually make calls, specifically as it pertains to where a disc went out of bounds. And this would, if the card wants to override it, they can play a provisional, but the spotter would be making that initial call, which is pretty interesting, and I think will be a super fun change for me this year. There's a bunch of little clarifications and things like that. The only notable one that I'm going to raise, and this will be the last proposed rule change that I'm going to discuss, it pertains to when you have, for example, a situation where there is a penalty stroke applied and then there is a misplay after that. So let's say you miss a Mando, and so you have a 1-stroke penalty, and then for whatever reason you misplay, you play from the wrong lie or whatever. There was some confusion. Does the 1-stroke penalty apply? Does the 2-stroke penalty apply for the misplay? Or do both apply? And the PDGA has clarified that you get both. So you get the penalty for missing the Mando, and you get the 2-stroke penalty for a misplay. So you would have a 3-stroke penalty. That will not probably come up very often at all, but it could.
Yeah.
And know the rules so you can use them against your opponents at strategic times to take down a win, or at the very least make them cry. And that is it for Sean's nerdy rule school. I can't take off my glasses because I won't be able to see the screen right in front of me or even this microphone because I am blind as a bat. But they do help me see foot faults. That's it for the proposed rule changes. If anybody has any comments on any of those proposed changes, please leave them in the comments, or get in touch with us through Instagram and YouTube and all the usual channels. We're happy to nerd out, or I'm happy to nerd out about these proposed rule changes. And if we get any, we'll talk about it on a future episode. Any of those.
Yeah, if you
I was just about to say, Sean is always happy to nerd out about rules with anybody. So just if you ever see Sean in the wild and want to just immediately strike up a conversation, bring up a rule. Yeah, it doesn't even matter which one. Just bring it up, and you'll have them locked in.
Yeah, and if you DM me about a rule, I'll probably just screenshot and send it to Sean for a response.
Yeah.
Yeah, the official missed Mando stats nerd or rules nerd. I'm the stats nerd.
There it is.
Maybe we're all stats nerds. I don't know. But fellas, I think that's about wraps it up. That's about? I don't know what that was either. This has been a long show. It is late. And I think it's about time we wrap it up. What do you boys think?
Yeah, no, it's been a blast, but we were talking about how it was 10:58, or at least I was, and that now, as I check my clock, was 45 minutes ago, and I am tired. It has been fun hanging out with you guys,
It
but I'm
is.
content to wrap it up.
Yeah, I have to wake up in about 4.5, 5 hours to drive
Oh,
my cousin to the airport.
oh,
So
you poor man.
yep. It's going to be a lovely day for me tomorrow. It is going to be a tiring one, but we've got some disc golf coming up to look forward to, some tournaments here in Ontario. I know same old, same old. I'm playing a tournament. I don't know about you guys, but there's disc golf pro tour stuff to look forward to as well. And that's going to do it for us here on Miss Mando. For my co-hosts, Galen Naidu-Harris and Sean Galbraith, I'm Robbie Holden, and we'll see you out on the course.